welcome to the Gamers Inn. Come on in, pull up a chair next to the fire. It looks like you've had a long journey. I'm your host, Jocelyn, and joining me, as always, is my co-host, Ryan. Hello, Ryan.
Hello. Is it just me, or is today just a little bit, brighter? I think it's because it's been raining for the last couple days, but today just feels just a notch above, above normal, right? Just really good day. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
I don't know. I spent most of the day in the hair salon today, so it was just inside. I didn't really notice
choice,
it.
right?
That's true. It was very much.
It's not like you were forced to get your hair done.
That'd be weird. That would be a weird thing to force somebody to do. But anyways,
I hate getting my hair done.
So oh, really?
That would be my personal hell. I'm glad I've already had a bachelor party because honestly, that being recorded for the internet to hear probably would have been perfect. We're getting Ryan's hair permed or something because he's stressed and he hasn't got his hair cut, so it probably looks a little bit something like this, a mess.
Oh yeah, Ryan, your hair is just ridiculous. It's so long. You shouldn't
do that on camera just in case just grossness comes out of it. You never know.
Oh, that's oh my god,
good thing we don't put the video episodes up right away.
Yeah, what an amazing intro.
Edit that out. It's fine.
I don't even know how to segue from that into what we're playing, so I'm just going to say, hey, Ryan, zoom, zoom.
Sure. Zoom, zoom.
Zoom, zoom.
See what I mean? Today's just a little, it's not, I don't want to say it's punchy. It's just a little quirky. And, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe launched. I did not get my copy on Friday. I did the old Amazon thing, and it came on Monday. So I sat there all weekend doing this, twiddling my thumbs. Unfortunately not playing on the Switch, but I did eventually get it in my hands. And that's some Mario Kart 8 right there.
We went and ran some errands on Friday, and then we were at Walmart, and Matt was like, "Trying Mario Kart?" I was like, "Yeah, I do." So we got it on Friday. And we played it quite extensively this weekend. Went through the two of us, and I've just kind of resigned myself to the fact that I'm never going to win anything ever again.
Ooh.
So Matt was first at everything, and I was second in everything. So, yeah.
Nothing. He didn't oh, I got the blue shell. It's like, I didn't see a blue shell. There was a blue shell, Jocelyn. There was a blue shell.
No, he was first the whole time, so it's fine. But we unlocked, so we played together for I think 4 or 5 of the cups, and then he finished off some of the other ones, and so we've kind of seen all of the different tracks and stuff. And he has Mario Kart 8 on Wii U, but I haven't really played much of it, so it's kind of cool because there were some of the ones that I recognized, and then other ones I was kind of like, eh.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of cool to see them, and I'm gonna play a lot of them. But yeah, I can see how if you had Mario Kart 8 already, there's not a whole lot of new stuff there.
This is not math whatsoever, but my uneducated guess would probably be the fact that I'd say 70, maybe 60% of the game is and that's probably generous. Yeah, probably 75% of this game is from the previous iteration. So if you're like me and played all of Mario Kart 8 to death plus the DLC, so there was 2 DLC packs that came out. So there's no new cups. So I think, is it 10 or maybe 12 cups that you get?
I think it's definitely not 12. I think it's 10.
So yeah, all the cups in the game, those are from the previous game. If you didn't pick up the DLC, then you're getting 4 new cups. But for people who are diehard Mario Kart fans, there's nothing new there. I think there's maybe 5 new characters, some new carts and stuff. But then there's battle mode, and you know, I will say this: battle mode is a much needed addition. I think it turns a really great game into a nearly perfect game, just in terms of the content that people are expecting from a Mario Kart.
I always really enjoyed battle mode. It seems it's a little bit weird because it used to be like the last time I remember playing a Mario Kart battle mode anyways, I think was probably like Super Nintendo, maybe 64, but you had like the 3 balls that kind of like went around you like the shells.
Yeah.
Instead of like balloons hanging from your car. So I don't know. It's different because like, and it took me a really long time to wrap my head around it because like you start with 5 balloons and then you have a score. And then, so if you lose all 5 of your balloons, you come back with 3, but you can steal other people's. And then also you, like, when you come back, you lose half your score. And I thought your score was balloons. I was so freaking confused. I was like, what happened to the 3 and you're done?
Exactly. And the way they've set it up this time, the 3 and done as a classic battle royale mode would be great because I find in online matches, the scores can be very wildly different across the 12 players playing online. And the online for me has been, I wouldn't say hit and miss, but mostly solid. There's been a couple times where I got disconnected, but not mid-match, usually in the lobby. But battle mode, I find at first is very confusing, especially if you're used to previous battle modes. Like, because you said the 3 live mechanic and you're out, just it instantly clicks with you. But I think they maybe added these extra features and the scores being cut in half when you lose all your lives to kind of balance it a little bit, because I feel like if you had 3 lives and you're out, the better players or the players with better luck, depending on what items you're getting, might be able to pull away a little faster than you can in terms of scores. So I can kind of respect them going in a different direction, but then I think once you get the hang of it and once you find the modes you like, because there's not just battle mode, there's battle mode, but there's like 5 different modes within that, and some of those
there's
are
one
really
where
fun.
you like launch bombs and stuff, and it was actually really funny because we didn't realize you could actually like launch them until we played quite a lot of it. We were just throwing them like right in front of ourselves. So
Wait, you can launch them? How do you launch them?
yeah, I get you just like move your like view stick kind of thing, and then you can like throw them way far ahead of you.
Oh, you can arc them?
Yeah.
The hell, man! I got here. This is the manual that they give you. It's like just the controls, and it's not even like that. Like, anyways, there is actually a really good tutorial in game if you can find it in the settings that basically tells you everything you need to know about all the controls and modes and stuff. And it's actually really well put together. But yeah, they don't really explain some of that stuff, especially if you're playing online where you're thrown in. That's how I kind of got to know battle mode, was just playing online.
Oh, we played just local.
Oh, well, see, what did you play against bots, or
Yeah.
did you be
No, not
over there?
Yeah, no, not me v Matt. That would be awful. No, just bots.
Okay, so I think you could do teams. Did he like not set it up with teams? I think you can do teams.
Please, Ryan.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Please.
I don't
Even
think
if it's you can do teams. There are team event because one of them is like a jailbreak one. So
right.
like one side is like the cops and one side's the robbers, and the cops have to catch the robbers and then they put them in jail. But then if you're a robber, you can like spring your dudes, and then it's like if there's any robbers free at the end of the 5 minutes or whatever, then cops lose, robbers win. Once all the robbers are caught, the cops win. So
I didn't play that mode.
It's actually pretty fun. It's pretty fun because like all of the cops get those like piranha plants on the front of their cars, and that's how they catch the robbers. So it's pretty cool.
That sounds like a mode that I really do want to try. And I know I can just pop into AI mode and play whatever, but I found that the online mode was giving me Steal the Shine. Didn't really like that one. I felt like that was one of those that wasn't very balanced because people could run away with it, and a lot of folks also don't really know how to play these modes yet. So
yeah,
as soon as you get the shine, you have 20 seconds. You have to hold it for 20 seconds accumulative. So if you do lose it and get it back, it's your count is still intact at, like, say you held it for 5 seconds, it's still at 15. But I found a lot of people were just chucking shells at each other, and I was guilty of that as well. But it just ended with people running away with it, and maybe they got it once or twice, and then they won the match.
Yeah.
But the bomb one, again, yeah, like very frantic. Battle mode normal. I found I was getting the hang of it enough that I was actually winning some rounds online, which is kind of surprising because there's a lot of good people online, because this game is... The online mode was very popular in Mario Kart 8, so it doesn't surprise me that there's probably a lot of folks jumping from one to the other. Because pretty much the same game. Like, this is a very solid transition from Wii U to Switch. Not a lot of dropped features or anything for that matter. It feels like the same game, with battle mode just tacked on, which is a good thing. Plus
so,
yeah.
Do you want to hear my Jocelyn's an idiot super funny story?
Sure, yes.
Okay. So, I don't know. Actually, Ryan, you have the case right in your hands, right?
The
Mario Kart 8 case.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Can you just like hold it up to the front of it, up to the camera?
There it is.
All right. So that is what the 8 in Mario Kart 8 looks like. So I do not have a lot of experience with Mario Kart 8. So we were playing through, it was either our first or second cup. I'm not even 100% sure which one it was. But we're playing. Matt was in first. I was doing terribly bad. So I was in basically last place, right?
Right.
So, I got a blue shell and then I got a bullet and I'm getting like basically all the OP items because I'm like way at the back and the game's trying to help me because I just suck so bad. So I'm driving. I go through and I get a new item and it's the Mario Kart 8, except I thought it was an infinity sign. So I'm like, I got infinity items! Pew, 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 pew. And then I was like, they went away. And Matt's like, you mean you got the 8? I was like, oh.
Well, I mean, I think I will defend you a little bit here in that they did add pretty recently with some of these games. They kept adding basically the number. So Mario Kart 7 on the 3DS had a 7 item that would give you 7 items, and they'd like revolve around you and stuff. And that's unfortunate that happened, especially out loud and in front of Matt. I'm sure he still hasn't let you live.
I was so happy and so excited. Oh God, no, he doesn't let me live anything down. So yeah, definitely, yeah, this was not slipping by him. But I was so happy and so excited, and then so confused because all my items were gone, and I thought I had infinity. Well, but I mean, not everyone watches the video version of the show, and not everybody is a Nintendo fan, so you may not know, but the 8 in Mario Kart 8, because like I know what an 8 looks like, and I know what an infinity synth. It's like stretched out and it's slanted, and it's halfway between an 8 and an infinity symbol. And I didn't realize that there were going to be items based on the fact that it was Mario Kart 8. Plus the fact that it was Mario Kart 8 just kind of slipped my mind. Like, I was just playing Mario Kart. And then I got infinity items that were actually not infinity.
I'm looking at it as well. And again, in your defense, having not played Mario Kart 8 before, the 8 does have like an overlap, a clear indication of an overlap. So which is like kind of a no-no if you're trying to steer away from the infinity, and I'm sure a lot of people.
It very much. I mean, it looks like a racetrack kind of. Like I get the stylized version. I know where they got it from, but yeah, just out of the corner of my eye as I'm racing around the track, and of course all the items like spawned in a circle around you. So I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. But then all of a sudden they were all gone, and I hadn't actually done anything useful with them. So. Yeah, that's my embarrassing Mario Kart Infinity Deluxe story.
It happens. You know what? You'll bounce back, and it'll all be good. And I had a story, but I'm so. I remember now. So in terms of the items and items that felt as if they were unlimited, like the fire flower or. I think that's actually the best example was the fire flower, and that you would just use it until it went away. Mm-hmm. They've actually added in this game. They've added a little usability upgrade where you can see how many charges you have left, because it's a little a clear indication of how much is left around the item circle.
That's right. So the other one, I think the last Mario Kart I played, I don't know which one it was, but the last one I played a lot of was like. Whenever they introduced the glowing mushroom that was like as many times as you could push it, it might have even been N64 or GameCube. Like that's how long ago this might have been. I feel like whenever they brought that in, that's the last time. Because you used to have like the 1 mushroom or the 3 mushrooms, and that was it. And then they introduced this like infinite as many times as you could press it mushroom. And so whatever iteration of the game that's the last time I played myself a lot of Mario Kart. So it's been a while.
I do remember, and I don't know if the golden, again, I haven't spent a lot of time in 12th place, so I don't know like all the items. but they added 2 new items to this one. It's the feather hop,
Yep.
which I've used successfully once, and it felt really good.
Yeah, and the feather's not new. The feather, or I mean, well, at least it's not new to Mario Karts. It's yeah, the jumping feather might actually go back all the way to Super Nintendo. That's been around for a long time.
I think you're right. It is a Super NES one, and my favorite thing about these Mario Kart games, and I know a lot of people probably love the new tracks, but they have added 8 new battle tracks. I think it's 8, and some of those are throwbacks to previous games that had the battle mode, and the one they added was the Super NES like block one.
Yeah,
and the music is amazing. It's Super NES, but it's like tuned up to just be relevant to our time, and it's really well done. I'm happy, very happy that I get to play that mode whenever it pops on, because the music just reminds me of some really good times my brothers and I had playing Mario Kart on Super NES. Like, oh gosh, I don't know how long ago. Would have been like what, 20 years?
Yeah, probably.
I hope it's not. I don't want to look it up just in case.
Well, 20 years ago was 1997, so you would have been about 10.
I think it was 91.
Oh, no. God. So that's like 25 years ago, dude.
I'm going to look it up. It's happening. It's happening right now. It won't take long. I'm going to keep saying it's happening. Yeah, 92. So 25 years ago. Right?
Yep.
Okay, good. So, yeah, that's a long time ago, and I've made everybody immediately feel either old or young, and you're angry. So just calm down. It's fine. HD Rumble, did you get a chance to, as you put it, take your Joy-Cons, rock out with your Joy-Cons out?
I have not actually had a chance to do that yet. I played with the Pro Controller, so I really liked it playing with the Pro Controller. I thought it was great, but no, I haven't had a chance to play with the Joy-Cons yet. So, but you did, and HD Rumble was good, bad, ugly.
I don't know. Like, it's Rumble. Like, I understand people who say HD Rumble is this amazing thing, but usually the example they use is you can feel the marbles like moving around in the controller. And obviously you can't really apply that to Mario Kart, but from what I've read and from what I've experienced, a lot of people are saying you can feel just where, say, someone like rear ends you, and you feel it in the bottom of the controllers as you're playing. And when you boost forward, you feel that momentum in the rumble. I mean, it's all simulated.
That's kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like, oh my God, I'm instantly transported. HD Rumble is amazing, but you you feel a different sensation when it happens, and it's not just a couple tumblers in your controller whirring around to create just general vibrations. It feels calculated, and I'm not here to say that it's changing the way we play video games, but I'm certainly here to say that it is cool and it feels different. And I don't want to say like it changes the Mario Kart game, but it certainly enhances the experience.
Neat.
Yeah, and it's worth trying. And personally, I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't mind playing with the Joy-Cons. I don't prefer it to the Pro Controller, but it is a nice, relaxed way to play because you can have both your hands in any position you want. And yeah, so
that does seem to be the appeal of the Joy-Cons, is that you don't have to sit there with your hands like this. Although I don't mind having my hands together, but it's not required when you're using the Joy-Con, so that's kind of good. But so you've actually had, because you were doing it right before the show, you've actually had a chance to play with it kind of on the go. So taking advantage of the fact that it's on the Switch, is that a plus, minus, good experience, bad experience? How was it for you?
I mean, and this is the great thing about the Switch that I think we haven't quite realized just yet, because there's only a few games that truly make you think, wow, this is in my hands and I can play it wherever I want. But being able to play the best Mario Kart game ever made anywhere is amazing, because I remember playing Mario Kart 7 on the 3DS out and about, and that was mind-boggling that I could play this really nice Mario Kart game that looked great on the screen. But as we both know, the Switch screen looks beautiful.
It's bigger.
And it's bigger, yeah, and it feels brighter, and it's crisp. And playing Mario Kart 8 on the go with that screen feels very good because you're closer to the action, so you can see a lot more what's going on. You're not really losing the details that are sort of farther away. It's not like Zelda where it's a very different. It's not very different, but it's a different experience where it's playing better, as opposed to in docked mode. I would probably go as far to say that it feels the exact same, which is what you want. You don't want a different experience. Actually, the first time I played it is my package arrived on Monday, and I came home and I'm like, well, I just want to do one race. So I popped the game in at lunch. I kicked the stand out. I have the Joy-Cons out, and I'm sitting there on the kitchen table playing. And that also felt really cool. Obviously, if I were in a situation where I had to play like that, it would feel better, considering the dock was just downstairs and I easily could have just walked, put it in the TV.
Who walks anymore, Ryan? Come on.
I just felt like if I had done that, I would have probably gone back to work. But it feels great. And the one thing I haven't been able to do with it yet is experience it on the go with multiple people, because I still feel like that's one of the appeals to the Switch, and that you have always two controllers built in. And I haven't done that yet with Mario Kart or any game on the Switch, and I'm looking forward to that. Right, because
you can actually play Mario Kart with just the one Joy-Con, right?
Yeah.
Because when we played, I had the Pro Controller and Matt had like the dock for the Joy-Cons, and that makes it almost a controller. So, yeah, that's how we were playing. I don't know if I would want to play with just one Joy-Con turned sideways.
No, I haven't had to do that for long, outside of the novelty of, oh, look, we turned this one controller into two. Isn't that great? I still haven't had to do that seriously. I'm not dreading it by any means. I feel like that's what they're for. Like, hey, let's get you want to try Mario Kart? Here's a controller. Let's play a couple races. I don't think it's for long periods, but I'm looking forward to that moment when this summer, when I'm traveling or outside. What's that? It is being able to play my video games when I should be enjoying the nice, beautiful sunlight. But yeah, this isn't one of those games that is going to bring the Switch to the next level, because it still feels like, please be patient, there are games coming. Same with Zelda. It still felt like that. It was a great game, don't get me wrong, and it was a great experience on the Switch, and I'm glad I picked up a Switch, but it still feels like we're in a holding pattern until the Switch game comes out. And I think like ARMS might be billed as that, but I still don't feel like that's my kind of game. I don't think ARMS, I appreciate what ARMS is, but I'm not convinced that it's going to be that game. I think that game will probably be Mario, which is coming out in the holidays, which feels far away. I know obviously there's E3 coming, there's going to be more news, but right now I'm still waiting for that Switch game that's like, okay, this is the ultimate portable dock tabletop experience type thing. So
Fair enough. That's pretty much how I feel about it too. I mean, I'm having a lot of fun in it, and I'll play a lot of it, but that's because I haven't played a Mario Kart game in a really long time. So this feels great to me. But if you've already played 8, then I feel like it's just gonna kind of be met. Unless you're really looking forward to like challenging friends online and battle mode and everything else, then I think the Switch experience is really cool, which is something that we really have to do, because I know like obviously you and I have Mario Kart 8, and there's quite a few people in our Discord that are throwing around friend codes and stuff. So it had really, really good sales. I think it's something like, and this doesn't really surprise me because there's not very much to play on the Switch, and I think a lot of people are trying to justify the purchase, but it's something like 75% of Switch owners bought Mario Kart 8. So it's pretty prevalent throughout the platform. So if you have a friend with a Switch, they probably have Mario Kart. So there's a lot of online friend play that can potentially happen. So I think it's a great entry in the franchise. I'm really glad that it got updated with the battle mode, and I'm looking forward to playing a little bit more with it. Speaking of playing a little bit more, Ryan, you played some more Outlast 2 this week.
I did. I feel like I played a lot more since last week than I did for my initial impressions. So I'm able to confirm that yes, indeed, I spoke too soon. There are jump scares
All right.
in the later part of the game. And they're the type of jump scares that feel designed to be like, ha, scared ya. Stupid game. But I think once you get, I don't know whether this is a spoiler or not, but I feel like it's important information for those folks that want to experience this game but don't want to be tricked into peeing their pants, if that makes any sense. So once you figure out the gameplay loop that they've set up in specifically Outlast 2 in terms of the arena scares, the arena panic tension that they've set up, is that there's explorative, which is scary and there's a lot of tension, but there isn't a lot of stuff happening. It's just more atmosphere.
Okay.
Still scary, but again, you shouldn't expect someone to end your game, like someone to pop out and kill you. But then as you progress, you get a little bit of story, then there's some stealth, and then there's these mechanics where you get into an arena and you have to progress. And usually to progress, you have to do some slow action or find the exit while you're being chased by some menacing lady with a cross that stabs you over and over again when she grabs you. So those are the two big things. And the last I played was when I entered one of those arenas where I was exploring, and then all of a sudden I go to crawl out of the arena and then someone's like, I'm a new monster and I'm coming for you. And I'm like, oh, that's why there are a bunch of barrels around. I get it. So it's like Gears of War when you see a lot of cover pop up.
Yeah.
Except you're seeing like barrels that you can hide in, and it's like, oh great, one of those things coming up, and that's where it gets real scary. I'm playing on normal, so it's not like the AI can see through walls. They're pretty dumb in that you can hide in a barrel and kind of watch them. Again, tension, the atmosphere is still amazing.
So is it the kind of thing where you have to like watch through like a knothole in the side of the barrel, and there's just every once in a while it's like, and there's like legs walk by you and stuff like that?
Yeah, so that's where the tension comes in, is that you sometimes know where the enemy is, but you if you get out, it'll instantly chase you, and sometimes either result in a hit that slows you or a hit that will immediately trigger a kill animation, and you'll have to start the encounter over. And it's the story is still really interesting. They've set up this really interesting battle between these hardcore Christian cult and then this sect that has sort of splintered off and are called the heretics, and they're at war with the hardcore Christian cult. The reason I say cult is that it is very much a cult, and that plays into the whole scariness of it and in what they do as a cult. I don't want to spoil it because it's kind of, it is spoilery, but it's also kind of gross, and I don't feel like repeating it.
Fair enough. Okay.
But there are things that happen to your character in this game that you probably haven't experienced in a video game before, and it's not like a torture porn, like a gross, like, ew, I kind of wish I hadn't seen that, I'm not going to be able to sleep. It's just something that they don't normally do in video games, and it's creepy. It's super creepy, and you get to experience that in first person. And yeah, I'm enjoying the game as much as anyone could, because it's a scary game, and it's hard to explain how you could enjoy something like this.
Yeah, that's actually kind of how I'm feeling about what I started playing this week, which is Little Nightmares. So this is another one of the ones that I was anticipating at the end of 2016 for 2017. And this is the one that we were talking about that's very like Tim Burton-y kind of looking. And so far, it's actually been a little bit closer to like Limbo and what was that other one that came out in the last like 8 months or so by the guys that made Limbo?
Oh, Inside.
Inside, thank you. Yeah, I was like, the one with the little chicks where I thought you had to like grind them up, and I didn't want to do that, so I stopped playing. Yeah, Inside. It's very much like that. But the creep factor's like turned up to 11. So I so far haven't found like there's not a lot of story that I've been able to piece together, and it's really hard to tell exactly what the point of the game is. So I feel like, because I've been kind of walking through a lot of rooms, and I'm not sure if I'm missing things or if they're just there to kind of convey like atmosphere or something. But I seem to walk through a lot of rooms and nothing happens. And I'm like, like, what am I missing? Like, why is this here? And you were talking about, when you were talking about HD Rumble, how it's like not necessarily game changing, but it's nice to be different than just like on or off, like rumble crazy. This Little Nightmares game has so much controller rumble. It's insane. And I don't know why. It's like, I think it happens when I'm solving a puzzle. And so, like, I'll do something and my controller's just like, brrr, for like a minute. And I'm like, I'm trying to do a puzzle. Stop shaking. Like, it's so crazy the amount that my controller shakes in Little Nightmares. So that's been a little bit off-putting to the point that I've been thinking that I need to turn it off. But I'm worried that if I turn it off, then I'm going to miss something. So I don't know. But I've had one death, I think. Or sorry, 2 deaths. And one caught me totally off guard because I was kind of like, oh, this is a new thing. And then it killed me. And so I was like, oh, okay, so don't touch those. Got it. And then a little bit later on, like, obviously, it was kind of a mechanic that I came across that I knew was probably going to kill me. And I just did it wrong. So I died and then I got by it the second time. So that was fine. But I hit my first, like, creepy, scary kind of moment just very shortly before starting up. Because I haven't played that much. I only got about an hour of playtime in. And so I got to my first, like, really creepy, weird, scary part. And it's, like, next level Tim Burton. Like, I don't even know if we can call this Tim Burton anymore because it is really, it's kind of similar in that it's very much, like, exaggerated proportions. And I don't want to say what happens or where it happens or anything because I don't want to spoil anything. But the character itself is this dude who has, like, really long, really skinny, like, Jack arms from Nightmare Before Christmas. So, like, Skeleton King arms. And then a really big head. But then his legs are, like, an inch long. So he's got these long, kind of draggy beside him arms that are about, like, twice the size or, like, twice the length of his body. And then these teeny tiny little legs, and he just shuffles along. And, like, where he shows up and, like, where he is, because it's called Little Nightmares because you're little. So everything else is, like, larger than life. So that you've got this, like, larger than life, really freaking weird looking character. And, like, the context of where he sees you, and he didn't kill me, so I don't actually know what his kill animation looks like, but I don't think I want to. So I just, I got to that point, and I was kind of like, ugh. Because there were a couple of, like, not jump scary parts, but just kind of, like, creepy atmosphere setting parts leading into that, and I was kind of like, oh, something's coming for me. So it was kind of cool, because that was actually also the first time, really, that, there was another character that interacted with me, which I also thought was weird because I got through quite a few rooms that was just kind of like me in the room. And I mean, there's this one part that is like a toy room, and I kind of tried to, like, go everywhere and touch everything, and I didn't really seem to solve any puzzles. Like, I didn't progress anything. I could just walk from one end of the room to the other and get through it. So I was kind of like, why is all this stuff in here? Like, I don't understand the point of this game. So I understand that some games want to have some sort of, like, aloofness and let the player figure it out. But if the player can't figure out, like, the point of your game or your controls or your story, then you gotta give me something. And I think that right now Little Nightmares is not doing it for me. But I'm going to keep going because I feel like there's something there and it could be cool. And I do like the art style, and it is super creepy. But yeah, it's just, it's been an odd experience so far.
Yeah, it looks odd, and I love Inside. I love Limbo. I love those type of games where you're moving left to right, you're solving puzzles.
But even then, I feel like both of those, even Limbo, which there wasn't a whole lot of story to that overall, but it was kind of a shorter game. But even with Limbo, it was like, there's something here. It started telling a story, like, kind of right away. And there just isn't much there in Little Nightmares so far. Right. Unless, like I say, I have totally missed the point of every single room that I've gone through so far. And like I said, most of them I was able to, in the end, just kind of walk through. And I was making it harder on myself than I needed to, because I was, like, searching for and touching stuff in the room, trying to figure out how to get through. And then in the end, it was literally like walk from left to right. And I was like, oh, okay.
So it doesn't feel like there's a story, but I think in Limbo and maybe not Inside, but certainly Limbo, it felt like there was a story as the story came together as you progressed and as you got farther and farther into the game. It wasn't really sort of laid on you. I think in Inside, it was one thing at the beginning and then became another at the end, depending on how you saw the events. But it is unfortunate with a game with such style, just based on the videos and the photos and stuff that I've seen. It is unfortunate that there isn't a front-facing story of any kind. I would even take the literal translation of this is a kid's dream or something.
Well, right at the very beginning, you kind of see a creepy figure, and then you wake up, and then the game starts. So it's like you're a kid that had a nightmare, and then now you're like walking.
You're stuck in the nightmare,
I guess. And yeah, exactly. It just basically, you just like wake up in this room that's kind of a sewer, and then the only thing that you can do is go right. So you go right. But there's no, I don't know. It's it was just kind of odd, but there've been a couple of different things, and a couple of things I've interacted with and stuff that, like, I mean, there was like a statue that I broke, and then there was this kind of like, I can't even remember what the tone was, but basically this equivalent of like opening a treasure chest in Zelda, like that kind of a tone.
Right.
And then there was like a little kind of shimmery glitter something, and then the little save icon popped up, but nothing happened. Like, I didn't bring down nightmarish figures on myself. There was nothing inside the statue that I could pick up. There was like, I was like, maybe it'll have an impact later on. Maybe someone's going to get really pissed off that I went and broke the statue. I don't know. But it was like, doo-doo-doo. I was like, oh, something important. But then nothing happened. Yeah, I was like, I did it. And then nothing happened. So I was kind of like, huh. And then there was, like I say, the toy room that I went and touched everything and knocked things off and stacked things up, and my controller was vibrating like the whole time I was in the room. And then I just kind of walked through it, and I was like, okay, that was a thing that I did. So I feel like that was a thing that I did could be the subtitle of this game. Like, Little Nightmares, that was a thing that I did.
And that's not necessarily like a glowing thing to say, right?
I know, and I'm kind of disappointed, because I was really anticipating this game, and I've had such good experiences with the Sexy Brutale, and then with Edith Finch that I talked about last week, that like Little Nightmares is probably the one I was looking forward to most, and it's been like the biggest letdown so far. So I think I'm probably just not far enough in yet, but I expected more for the distance I've currently traveled. I'll put it that way. And unless, like, I almost feel like I want to look up a walkthrough or something, or get more information, because it could totally be yet another, like, I didn't do any spoilers. I didn't look into it at all. I don't really know what I'm looking for. So maybe if I had a little bit more information, then I would play the game better. But I'm like, I shouldn't have to look for outside information in order to play your game.
No. But do you feel like the style will pull you forward to keep you moving in the game? I feel like seeing the next, oh man, how did they make that Tim Burton scene moment? Living those moment to moment, I think would be what keeps me going forward, even after having this conversation of, I did a thing and I got to progress. I feel like the style would keep me moving forward. If this was just a game where the style didn't hit with me, or it was just standard polygonal graphics, I probably would have passed on it, right? But because it has that unique style, do you feel like that's pulling you forward a little bit?
I think so. Like, I'm going to keep going, but I think, like, I might look something up, because it feels like so far it's been very, very, very gray, except for you, because your character's wearing like a yellow raincoat. So it's an interesting kind of contrast, and you really stand out. So it's been very Limbo-ish, in that like everything else basically is black and white almost. It's very muted. And so I'm kind of like, all right, again, not the kind of aesthetic that I was thinking I was going to be in for. So, and there's been so many rooms that I've just straight up walked right through So I think I must be missing something. And I don't necessarily think that's on the game. I think that's more on me. So I need to, I think, do some research to enjoy the game. But the style is really cool. I am going to keep going with it. But yeah, I don't know. So far, it's just been a little bit, ow, sorry, thrall, claws. There we go. He's come to say hi.
Oh, well, that's nice. So it's just been and you said you only played it for about an hour, and
yeah, I'm not very far into it. Yeah.
It was what you could get in before the show, and
basically, yeah.
I feel like sometimes when you put a time limit on a specific game, especially one that you're looking forward to, and I hope you go back to it because I think you were very excited about this game. So it would be unfortunate to pass it along with just that playtime. But I feel like if you set aside some time and play it, you might appreciate it a little more outside of I gotta get a good chunk of this in as basically as homework, right? And I think if you felt like you were missing stuff, you're probably missing stuff.
Yeah.
Because these type of games where you can run through a room, like I don't know if I can't speak for every type of game like this, but I feel like when there's a room and you're able to walk right through it, it's not just window dressing unless it's a literal hallway, but usually there's things to interact with, like maybe collectibles or something. That's got to be able to. There's something in there.
Well, and that's the thing. Like I feel like, but it's not like there was one room like that. It was almost every other room, and I was just like, I've got to be missing something because, like you say, I basically was just walking through like room after room after room. And I'm covered in cat fur now. Thanks, buddy. I needed that. But yeah, so I was walking through like room after room after room, and nothing was happening. So I was kind of like, kind of a downer.
Oh well, hopefully it picks up, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Like I say, I don't have a lot of time into it. And like you mentioned, it was very, very homeworky. So I'm going to give it another shot. But yeah, it was kind of meh compared to, I mean, like, and I raved about Sexy Brutale, and I really stick to that. Like, that game was amazing, and it jumped right in. So I think after that experience being so positive, I was just a little bit let down by this one. But it again, I don't think it's a knock against the game. I think it's a knock against me and how I played it. So I'm going to keep going and try again. I might even just start over from the beginning.
Okay, cool.
Because it does seem kind of cool. Like, it isn't as linear as something like Limbo. At least I don't think it is. I basically found a couple of what felt like alternate paths because basically I was going across what was essentially the bottom, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh, hang on, there's a stack over there, and I kind of made my way up to the top. So I didn't continue along the bottom. So I don't know, I might have hit a wall down there, and I might be taking the only path, but it felt kind of alternate pathy because it was kind of tricky, so... yeah, I don't know. But like I said, I need more time with it, I think. But I did want to mention that I did get a chance to at least start it, and those are my initial impressions, so.
Okay. I want to hear more about it, so yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I think I might even play some more tonight after the show. But anyways, we have a new patron this week, so thank you very much to The Geek Review for supporting our show. If you too would like to support our show on Patreon, you can head on over to patreon.com/thegamersin. The Geek Review is a podcast that reviews everything and anything for an honest consumer review. The Geek Review can be found on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Discord, and at thegeekreview.podbean.com. So thank you so much for supporting The Gamers In. Again, you guys can head on over to patreon.com/thegamersin if you would like to do the same. We don't have a topic this week. We're just going to do some news, odds, and ends. So we got a couple of content announcements. First of all, Breath of the Wild, the first DLC, has been detailed. And I don't know about you, Ryan, but dressing up like Tingle is something that I have wanted to do for years. So I am so excited about this DLC.
That's where we're going first, eh? Yeah, I guess you get your big guns out now.
I was going to say, yeah, there's the sarcasm.
Something about... So, I mean, this was to be expected. They've added a lot of stuff, but obviously leading with... the man crotch that is Tingle's outfit. For Link.
I thought I was just being like a dirty old woman, like, nope. But it's very like shabam, yeah. Right?
Link
front and center.
Butt, I don't want to like butt shame, but Just throwing that out there. This is getting weird. But no, the outfits are one thing, but I feel like that's their joke outfit. That's their jokey outfit that they've thrown in here. And Tingle is one of those characters that people love to hate. And I think the reason they keep including him in their games is because of the way we treat Tingle. He's I'm trying to think of a similar character out there in different genres or different franchises, but it's the character you love to hate, and that's why they keep bringing him around, and that's why he's in here as DLC, and that's why he's one of the few teases for the DLC pack, because they've announced that there's going to be more armor sets, not just the ones that they've unveiled. But the Majora's Mask looks pretty cool. I think that's neat. Yeah. The cosmetic stuff I'm not necessarily interested in. It didn't really grab me in Breath of the Wild either. Like, I like the amiibo items, and I liked throwing them on just to kind of look like links from previous games. But I'm not necessarily going to go out of my way to pay the $30 just so I can dress up as Tingle or wear the Midna mask. I'm more interested in what I think is the least novelty item in this first pack, which is the Trial of the Sword, which kind of addresses something that we talked about in this game, and that the way to get the Master Sword in the game felt just a little gimmicky.
Well, yeah, it was just, that's the thing. That's all it was you had to have a certain number of hearts. I believe it was 13 in order to be able to pull the sword out of the stone. And that just feels kind of like blah. I wish there was a boss to defeat or a puzzle to solve or some sort of even like trivia. I don't know, like anything that was an actual, well, I'm trying to think of things that they could possibly implement that would have been a test of skill, that if you really were like the reincarnation of Link, i.e. if you'd played Zelda games in the past, you would be able to do, as opposed to just like, have you done enough shrines to have enough hearts to then pull the sword out? Like, it just seemed like kind of a cop-out of just like, once you've progressed this far in the game, you can have the Master Sword, and that kind of felt crappy. I much would have rather had something like this, Trial of the Sword, where you can actually prove your skill and then therefore get the sword.
And that's the beauty of this, is that, again, this is DLC, so it's not necessarily something you're going to get that affects your main game. A lot of this stuff, especially this first pack, feels like additional content. It's side content, optional content, something that you don't need to play. But Trial of the Sword is, as you said, it's basically horde mode, but is a true test of your skill. And then at the end of it, which I think is kind of cool, you get the quote unquote true power of the Master Sword. So I think they're kind of addressing a concern we had, and that they are giving you the ability to show your strength. So not only can you wield the Master Sword, but now you're getting an upgraded version of it, and that's kind of cool. That's a neat addition. They didn't need to do that, but it's neat. But the thing that the kicker for me is, we all know the people who love this game, hate this game, tolerate it, whatever, wherever you stand in Breath of the Wild, whether you liked it or hated it. The fact that they're going to be selling you story DLC in the holiday season has some sort of appeal, whether it's a strong appeal or just a I would like to check that out appeal. And the fact that you can't buy these packs separately is kind of a bummer, because I could personally, I want to buy it all. I want to play it all because I love this game.
Yeah.
But for those who just want to play the new story stuff, you have to buy the season pass and pay for the content that you may not be looking forward to. And it's been a while since a company has like forced you to buy the season pass instead of paying for it piecemeal. How do you feel about that, knowing what you're paying for in the first half that might not appeal to you?
I think it's really dumb, because I don't want any of this.
Yeah.
Like, really and truly, I'm done with Breath of the Wild, so they're like doing a horde mode to unlock the power of the Master Sword has absolutely no appeal to me, because I've already done all I want to do with this set of story, so I don't need to empower my sword. I'm finished. And I think a lot of the kind of cosmetic items, like, I mean, there's a Korok mask, there's like the Phantom armor is kind of cool, but I like looking like Link, so I don't know. Maybe I would wear the armor and the greaves, but not the helmet. possibly. Yeah. I don't know. But so the Phantom armor's kind of okay. But, like, I don't want to dress like Tingle. I don't want to wear Majora's Mask. Like, I don't know. It's a lot of content that if I had the choice, I would buy the new story and I wouldn't touch this. Like, there's nothing here that I particularly need or want. So being forced to pay $30 for, like, it better be some seriously beefy story.
Yeah, personally, I have no idea what to expect. And the fact that they're getting this out of the way now probably tells me that we're going to get this early summer. And we're going to maybe hear about the story DLC or get a tease of it at E3, which would be very exciting. But that is kind of what I assumed. And I know a lot of folks who liked Zelda, but only want to don't want to go back to the main game. Like there's hard mode, which I'm interested in. They added a patch recently where you could change the VO while keeping English subtitles, which is a nice bonus. So
that's a patch though, right? That's not something you have to pay for.
No. Yeah, that is a patch. The hard mode is part of the DLC. Mm-hmm. But the patch for the VO stuff is already available. And I mean, personally, I'm planning on probably starting a new save file in hard mode with Japanese VO, because there are a lot of YouTube videos out there. I think it's safe to say that the Japanese VO for Zelda is much better than the English VO and we had that conversation. And we had it again in Discord this week, which it was fun. But it just looks like a lot of this content is for people like me who loved Breath of the Wild and are looking for any excuse to do something new, whether it is dressing up as Tingle and flying around, or facing Ganon, or doing something like the Trial of the Sword or hard mode. But I don't think this is for anybody who beat Zelda but isn't interested in going back to it for any reason but new story content. And this is $30 Canadian. It's actually $20 US. So for those folks that are listening in the US, you're actually getting it for $20, which is a little more reasonable for just the story content. I mean, you've paid more for probably less. DLC sucks. It's very expensive.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the other thing that we had announced this week was something I'm actually really excited about, because I didn't realize that they were working on this at all. I really enjoyed the first two games. Darksiders 3 has been announced and takes place around the same time in the storyline as Darksiders 2. You're playing as one of the other horsemen. You're playing as Fury, which is really super cool. She looks awesome. So, I mean, I can't remember now. I know I played Darksiders 2. Did you pick up Darksiders 2?
I did. And, funny you mentioned in the beginning of the show, 268 episodes. I remember specifically picking up Darksiders 2 to talk about it on the show. It was probably our first year. And I played every single part of Darksiders. Darksiders 2 I kind of fell off in between, and I was anticipating getting back into it with the remastered that just came out. And I do want to now, knowing that they are finally going to make a Darksiders 3. Obviously, this game has been sort of something they've always wanted to do, but plagued by publishers shutting down, Vigil Games being basically torn apart. But this is THQ Nordic, which is Nordic, whatever they used to be called, bought up a lot of the THQ properties, and Gunfire Games, which has a lot of old Vigil employees. So they're making this sequel, and I was worried that this was going to be sort of a cheaper offering, like not the Darksiders 3 that we want, but it looks like the Darksiders 3 that we want,
Yeah. And it's really funny because I saw a lot of people that were complaining that basically these weren't the correct horsemen of the apocalypse. And it's just like, yeah, technically they're not, but I mean, famine, like, that's not going to be a fun game. Like, you walk around not letting people eat. Like, that's not a fun mechanic.
Well, Famine is he is in the lore of this game. He's just they're saving him for the fourth game, and this isn't even me being funny. Like I remember hearing Famine mentioned in the listing of, so there's war, there's wrath, right? Or wait,
no
death,
there's
sorry.
Death was the second game. Fury is the third game. But yeah, the actual, I'm going to totally blank on them now, but they're like, Death, Pestilence, Famine, and I'm forgetting the fourth one. If we're going by like actual biblical horses of the apocalypse, that's what they are. But yeah, I mean, like Fury, that makes more sense from a gameplay perspective. Like, I don't want to play as like Plague Bringer or something. I don't know. It seems like those would be really hard mechanics versus like, I am just Fury. I'm just angry and want to kill everything. Oh, War. Yes. Thank you, Lady Eldera in the chat room. It is War. So yeah, it's War, Death, Pestilence, and Famine are the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Sure. But in this game, they're War, Death, Strife, and Fury. Thank you, Leo. Yeah. So yeah, they did kind of deviate from traditional myth, lore, religion, whatever you want to call it, with this game, but I think it's for the better from an actual like gameplay perspective.
Yeah, and there was concept art that it was created for Darksiders 2 that shows all the characters. So they created concept art for Strife, for all of them, for this universe. Yeah. So this shouldn't be really a surprise because they were either going to do, well, Fury or Strife, and they've made it pretty clear that they're not interested in revisiting protagonists from the last games because War is straight up like chained as he was in, I think, 2. I never played through 2, but I assume like he gets out, you fight him, you put him back in. Like, he's not necessarily the bad guy, but he's being blamed for everything. Something about brother, why have you forsaken, stuff like that. I don't know. But for some reason, Illidan Stormrage seems to
come to mind.
Yeah, it's the same voice actor. So, but yeah, I'm excited about this. But honestly, I did not think it was ever going to happen because it always felt like THQ Nordic didn't really have their sights set that high, and I'm kind of impressed with the fact that they are doing this, and they're putting a huge gamble because Darksiders 2 didn't do so hot.
It was a weird release, though. I feel like it came out in like July or August or something. Like, generally where we don't see a lot of big games get released in July and August. Usually that's like indie summer sort of thing. And usually the big titles come out before in kind of like April through May. And then you've got your big, obviously, like September, October, November, pre-Christmas, fall launches, all that kind of stuff. So the summer is traditionally dry in gaming outside of the indie scene. So anything that kind of gets released in the summer, it's very similar to like movies that get released in January. Like it's just, that's where kind of studios dump stuff that they don't really have a lot of faith in. So I think that Darksiders 2 just kind of had a disadvantage from the get-go. And I hope they don't do the same thing to 3. It doesn't actually have a release date, but it has, I think just generally it's coming in 2018, right?
Yeah, and I could see, I've seen a lot of speculation that, revealing it now so it doesn't get crowded with the E3 big bombastic, we're going to shoot a bunch of things, trailers. Doing it now and then doing a more spotlight at E3, but having this release in the spring, winter area of 2018 would probably be perfect. I think if this thing is coming out like holiday season 2018, it's going to get torn to shreds. And also a long wait, which is, I don't know. I don't want to be hearing about holiday games now. That's what June's for. Not May. Oh my God, it's May.
Yeah, it's May.
Oh my God.
Lady Eldera in the chat room is also saying that Steam has a package deal for Darksiders 1 and 2 for $11 Canadian, so it's probably even cheaper for you Americans out there. So if you haven't ever tried the Darksiders series, I really do highly recommend it. It's basically like a dark version of Zelda. Like I love it. But it's very much that same sort of gameplay with like puzzles and dungeons and combat. The combat's so good, and I feel like in the Darksiders 2 with Death, it featured a lot more like climbing and scaling things. I don't remember doing that as much in Darksiders 1, but I feel like playing as Death, you were very like Lara Crofty in your jumping from ledge to ledge and traversal type puzzles. So
Yeah, and it had some open world concepts as well, where you would, like Tomb
Yeah.
Raider, you would come into these open areas.
Yes.
And for those who are, again, interested in playing the remastered editions, if you actually own, I think if you own Darksiders or even Darksiders 2 on Steam, you may already have the remastered
Mm.
editions as a free upgrade. And if you're willing, if you'd rather play on the consoles, I'm pretty sure the PlayStation Store is having a similar deal. I mean, you got to pay the like extra $10 console tax, but um, you know,
I feel
uh,
like I played it on Xbox.
yeah, I played the
Darksiders 2 anyway. I don't remember where I played Darksiders 1, but Darksiders 2 I think was on. Because I remember it being on the TV, because I remember playing it in the living room, and then it coming up with a message saying servers were down on day 1, and I was like, WTF! I just want to play my game, and it's a single player title. Why does it matter that servers are down?
servers were down.
Yeah.
Weird.
Can actually go back in my Twitter and find like I think it came up on my Facebook being like, your post from 4 years ago or whatever. And it was the picture of my screen going WTF.
Yeah, and that might have even been around the time when there was the PlayStation hack or whatever. I don't know. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was.
But I don't know. This is exciting, and I'm looking forward to playing Darksiders 3 when it eventually comes out and learning more about it, because this is just the initial reveal and it was actually leaked. I think they were always planning to unveil it when they did, but there was a leak beforehand on Amazon basically saying, "Yep, it's coming." So have fun.
So yeah, I'm excited for it. I can't wait to play it. I think it's going to be great because I love the franchise. So before we get into our listener feedback section, Ryan, do you want to take it away?
Yes, we have a patron ad from Simon. Weekly News Desk is a podcast all about the geek news this week. Join your two knucklehead hosts, Andrew and Simon, as they keep you informed on movies, TV, video games, and books. Find them on iTunes or at weeklynews.com.
That brings us to our listener feedback this week that comes from Michael about Mass Effect Andromeda. He says, I would just like to say that with Mass Effect Andromeda, it has a great story going for it so far. A little reminiscent from the old trilogy, but still new. However, I have found that on multiple occasions, missions don't occur correctly, leaving you unable to complete them. This is especially true on Vold, so complete all the side missions and task missions before you activate any monoliths or complete the main campaign on the planet in the game. And so I think and Vold was the planet that I went to first, so this might have been part of my problem. But I found it so confusing, and it must have been that I had done something like main campaign-y that like locked me out of something else or something. Because this is what I say, like I had those two big choices and I chose to do one and then went and did a couple of other things on my way, and when I got there I couldn't do it anymore. So that must have been what happened. And so yeah, this is kind of the problem, and it's weird because I guess maybe they didn't instance things properly or at all, but it just seemed like everything unlocks all at the same time. But then the completion of things will lock you out of other things that you've discovered. So it's very weird, as opposed to just saying like, okay, here's our story. You unlock 1 and then 2 and then 3. It's like you unlock everything, but then suddenly can't do some stuff. But we won't tell you ahead of time which ones you can't do.
Yeah, they're kind of, and this is why I looked up the whole like what to do before you do the final mission, because it's the only time they actually tell you like straight up, you better go do some of this stuff before you do this mission. And Vold was one of those planets that I had an issue. I think it was Vold. I had an issue there where a quest wasn't progressing. We talked about this last week, and I think it's just the culprit of open world games. And sometimes you win and the quest is just to collect these 3 things and you get a small reward. But other times those bugs affect major missions that you can't progress. Like I remember the weirdest bug I had in Inquisition, which was the last BioWare open world game. The game thought my character was a chick when I was playing a dude, and I couldn't progress like romance, which is kind of a big deal in BioWare.
In the BioWare,
games.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I think in Andromeda, I came across one big one in Vold, which was very frustrating to the point where I almost put the game down thinking, well, I'll wait for a patch. I ended up kind of like brute forcing it, but it's unfortunate when a game's design gets in the way of just being able to complete stuff when you feel you're ready to complete it.
Yeah.
And I think it goes without saying that you kind of have to think if you're gonna do a world-changing thing like the monoliths, they're very clear. Like it does affect the world and triggers new events. I think before you do that, you kind of have to look at your quest log and say, okay, what am I comfortable not being able to finish if I do this world-changing event? And for me, it was like, shit, yeah, I'm not gonna go, distribute medical supplies. That's clearly just a here's 5 credits, thanks for your time quest. So I don't know.
And I think, with the monoliths, I agree. I feel like those big, like, world planet changing event, like, it's very clear once you start the monoliths, once you start terraforming the planet, things are going to change. That's fine. But I feel like there was also the, like, infiltrating the Ket base on that planet that I was like, I had been progressing that story a little bit, but not to the point where I'd even, like, gone to the base yet. And I think just progressing that kind of main story, priority mission, whatever you want to call it, locked me out of some of the side quest stuff. So it was a little bit unfortunate. And it's funny that he specifically mentioned, or I think Michael specifically mentioned Vold, because that's kind of where I went right away. So, it's so weird. Like, why do I make such poor choices? Like, nobody else had any problems with their first couple of planets, but I just had to pick the one that's, like, icy and boring and has issues. Terrible, terrible, terrible gamer luck.
Well, I mean, it's an open world game. There's bound to be some dirt flying around, and it's just unfortunate that it's in one of our favorite franchises. Personally, my opinion on Andromeda is that I would like to see them go back to closer to the original trilogy and it being a controlled linear experience, because I think these or work on the padding that you're putting into this open world, because that padding is, you feel inclined to finish it, but the drive isn't there, because the extra stuff is what it is. It's extra. It's padding. So yeah.
Fair enough. I think that's going to do it for us this week. You can visit us on the web at gamersinpodcast.com. You can also find us on AMove TV along with other fabulous podcasts, including Into the Nexus, The Angry Nerd, Overwatchers, The Angry Chicken, and For Azeroth. You can also follow us on Twitter. You can find me, Jocelyn, at Joss Plays. Ryan is at R. Murphy. And don't forget to follow the show at The Gamers Inn. The video versions of all our episodes can be found on youtube.com/amovetv. If you'd like to email the show and let us know what you're up to, please do so at info@gamersinpodcast.com. Thanks for staying at The Gamers Inn. Remember, tune in next week. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.